Practices have been good. Spirits have been good. They've practiced really hard. We did a lot of good on good periods today, and a little bit of light work yesterday, and a lot of special teams work. And players are doing a good job. I'm excited about where they are, and it's different defending some option elements that they have. So it brings back memories of last year, but just not as extreme. So we got a good scout team. Some guys have been working on their plays during extra periods the last couple of weeks just to get used to some of the things that Georgia Tech does offensively, and they got some similarities to us defensively, so it's easy to give them a good picture.
I know that yesterday when you were asked kind of about Thanksgiving, you said that this week's kind of focused on your team and stuff, but when you look at that Thursday afternoon, specifically like when you get to have that time with your own family, what's your favorite part about that? And then also, of all the sides on Thanksgiving, which one's your favorite?
My mom's stuffing is probably the best. She does a great job of that. So I enjoy the turkey and dressing, and that's kind of my favorite part. It's traditional, and it's my mom's go-to, so I enjoy it. But my favorite part of Thursday is just being with my family and being thankful for all the blessings we got. My brother lives in town now, so I get to share it with his family as well. And then we have players come over from time to time, and maybe couldn't go or got too far to go, and getting to enjoy just mainly eating.
Are you a napper?
I usually would nap, but we eat so late because we have to practice in the midday. So by the time I get home to eat, there's no nap. It's just bedtime. So we eat and then go to bed. Back in the day, I was a napper.
I hadn't asked you lately about D'Wan Mathis, kind of how he's doing, when if he might be cleared, and just his future in general.
Yeah, he's been cleared to do more. He's been cleared to do practice, not take hits. So that prevents him from being able to play, but he's able to do more in practice. He's been scout team quarterback for the last couple of weeks now and done a tremendous job. He helped with the Bo Nix scout team stuff. He helped even last week with the scout team stuff because he's able to simulate some of these guys we've played. So that's been a big bonus for us. But as far as when is he going to be completely cleared, I'm not sure. But it was a step up in clearance when he could go 11 on 11 and throw the ball and give us a look.
You may not be able to answer this, but is the process of clearing him, does he go back and get like scans and stuff like that? I mean, is it just kind of every so often he goes back and gets checked in like that?
It is, but it's a deal where they don't want to scan him a lot because of the radiation stuff, so they don't want to do it. They have benchmarks and points where they want to do it in time, which they've done, and they want to see the recovery and the healing. And there's 3 or 4 medical experts that Ron and his staff have called on from different departments. One, an NFL representative, one of them, a Harvard doctor. I mean, they got 3 or 4 guys that are nationally renowned for this exact craniotomy surgery, and they kind of pull together with what they think is best.
What is, it's obvious with Jake Camarda, he has a really powerful leg, and you've talked about that throughout the year. Has there been anything specific that he's done to kind of hone that in, and he's obviously had a couple of really good games in a row here?
I can't say that he's done anything to hone it in. He's always had a powerful leg. I mean, that's why we signed him. He was a tremendous kicker in high school, and he was a great punter. He's got great lift. I mean, he lifts the ball on kicks really well, too, as well as punts. I can't pinpoint, he might be able to tell you better what exactly the trigger point's been. I think he's just more comfortable in the moment, and he's more experienced. So he's done a really good job making some big punts. I know the mindset side of things, the sports psychology side of things, he's met with people and done stuff there. I think that's helped him too.
I know you hate to think about life after Rodrigo, but is he going to be considered, will you look at him as a place kicker as well once Rodrigo moves on?
Yeah, I mean, we're recruiting them. We've got guys at that position as well that we're recruiting and excited about. But Jake will be a consideration because he's done it all his life. The consideration there will be whether or not effect of the total burden of kicking would be detrimental to him. But we'll use the best guy, that's for sure.
How have you prepared your team, or what have you said to them just about the? I know it started with the whole pressure is a privilege thing a couple summers ago, but as far as down the stretch, I mean, it looks like you've taken a lot of good punches from opponents as well as national media and critics. How do you tell your team to deal with that outside pressure?
We have no consideration of anything outside here. I mean, we really don't. I mean, we don't have any control over it. So the thought of those things never even crossed my mind, because I don't look at them as punches. I don't look at them as jabs, because I don't really listen to them. So it's not motivation for me, because if I need that for motivation, then I'm not going to go where we need to go. If our players need intrinsic motivation, I just feel like you have to motivate because you want to be great. You have to motivate because you want to be better. It's not about what people are saying or criticizing. I mean, they have a right to do that. I understand it, and we're critical of ourselves. So we have a lot that we need to improve on, and some of the things they're saying, they're dead on. But that doesn't motivate us. It's just things we got to get better at.
Dan Lanning was nominated, named the semifinalist for the Broyles Award today, and you were sort of evaluating who's going to fill that defensive coordinator role. Was there anything that sort of stood out with Lanning that maybe gave you an inclination that he was going to go on and have a defense to play as well as it is?
No, I mean, I think all our defensive coaches do a tremendous job. He'd be the first to tell you that what he's been able to do is, number one, because of the players, but number two, because of the defensive staff. So all those guys pulled together to do that. He just has to be the leader and the guy in charge of it all. And he's done a really nice job of motivating the players. He relates well to the players. The players believe in him, and he's done a tremendous job. But all those defensive coaches have. And Glenn Schumann's one of our co-defense coordinators, and he does just as much game planning as Dan does. He deserves just as much credit as Dan gets. Dan is just the guy that calls it on game day, and he's done a good job.
Following up on the Thanksgiving element, I guess, do you ever take time to kind of look back and reflect on the significance of being back at Georgia, being back at your alma mater now for 4 years?
I mean, I do when I run into people in the off season, but not much in the season. I mean, it's great to be home. I mean, it's awesome to be here, but there's not a day. I mean, I don't come into work thinking about that. I'm thinking about what we can do to get better, what we can do to improve, and that's constantly it's just what you do. You don't sit back and really acknowledge where you are, because you're always trying to go somewhere else. And that's what we're trying to do, is like, where can we take this program? Where can we go further? And that's what I'm always trying to do, is take us to a different spot.
You guys have had your struggles offensively. It's been like one area or another, red zone here or there. A couple of players I've heard lately say they feel like you guys are close, that when you look back at the film, they see this or that. Do you feel that too? I mean, do you feel like there are just one, two different things that if you just do them better, you guys are playing at a much higher level?
I mean, yeah, you can always say that. I mean, you can say that about anything. We're close to not playing well on defense. If we give up a bomb, if we give up plays, we have penalties. I mean, it doesn't work that way. I mean, certainly we have games of flashes of red area, flashes of third down, flashes of being able to run the ball, but we haven't put that collective product together. And I'll tell you this: the offensive staff is working extremely hard on it, and there's no stone unturned, and the players are working really hard on it. They push each other every day in practice to do better, to get more, and it's not a lack of effort in that department.
How did the 3 interceptions and I guess a fumble against South Carolina affect things on offense in terms of Jake hadn't had a pick since then, but maybe not as productive as an offense, so good and bad. I mean, is there any kind of risk reward that you guys look at?
I don't think so. I mean, I think look at Florida game. I mean, there was risk reward there, and he threw the ball well and was productive. We didn't run it like we want to, but he wasn't worried about those things. He was in rhythm. He was throwing the ball well, and he protected really well. So he did some good things. And I mean, you still go back to that game, and there's it wasn't like there was 3 bad balls. I mean, a couple of them, those things are going to happen. Just some of them happened all at the same time, and he's very efficient with the ball. He always has been. So his decision making's been good. And he's got to continue to make good decisions and give what the defense gives him, take what the defense gives him. And when he does that, he's usually accurate.
This seems to be, I hope I'm not jinxing it for your sake, but it seems to be another year where you have less key injuries than other teams. Is it kind of credit to what Scott and his staff do and kind of the whole mantra of physical practices? So is that to credit, or does a lot of it still come down to luck, you think?
I don't know. I would say Scott and Sinclair and staff have a tremendous part of that. We take pride in that, but I mean, they lift hard. I think our depth is what prevents that a lot of times. I mean, there's been significant injuries to me when you think about Cager and Tyler Simmons and D-Rob at a position that we were very light in. Those were kind of significant to me. Now, if you're talking about quarterback and running back, it's probably not the case. But we've had more this year on the offensive line, it seems, than we've normally had. But the strength staff does a tremendous job. I mean, we're one of the healthiest teams year in and year out because of what they do in the weight room. But we also have a really good, deep roster that allows us to be competitive and physical in practice because you're maybe not as concerned about losing a guy in practice because we got good depth. I mean, it's not great, but it's good depth at a lot of positions. So our kids push hard through it.
Will Stokes be back in the 3-corner rotation? Did he end up going like you?
Yeah, he's practiced. He hasn't had a lot of contact, but he's done everything in practice, just non-contact for a couple of days. He'll be contact tomorrow.
You've gone dating back to that South Carolina game. Also, your defense hasn't given up a play longer than 30 yards. What do you attribute that? How much of that? I know you say you don't play bend but don't break, but how much of that is scheme versus just execution?
It's both. I mean, we're definitely not bend but don't break. I mean, we've been aggressive. You go ask the teams we played, they'll tell you that we've been really aggressive. And you're going to give up some plays when you do that, but you play at a really high level when you don't. I mean, if you can be aggressive and not give up plays, I mean, who wouldn't take that? And for a couple games, I mean, we've been able to do that. And that's a credit to the back end. It's a credit to communication. It's a credit to the signal caller. There's a lot of things involved in that. But if you could take away some of those big plays, especially earlier in the year, it would certainly put us in a much better place.
Do you think the emphasis on havoc rate has had as much of a positive effect, even if the havoc rate itself may not be jumping off the stat sheet?
Well, we've been very pleased with the havoc rate. I don't know what it is publicly, but I know that we charted every game. I think we've had it every game. We've hit our goal of 20%, but 2 or 3 maybe we didn't. We had a string there where we struggled to get our rate, but the last 2 I know we have, and that's always a big measure because if you have havoc, you usually have third and longs. Because that means on first and second, you either had a batted ball, a tackle for a loss, you're getting them behind the sticks. And I felt like the last 2 games we've really had people in third and long a lot, and that's helped. That havoc rate has definitely helped our defense because it's given us more negative plays. It has not equated to more turnovers, which you would usually think it does, but it hasn't.
Kirby, J.R. Reed was named a Thorpe Award finalist. You look at his numbers don't jump off the stat sheet, but I know he does so much more. Can you talk about why you think that's a fitting accolade for him?
Yeah, he's a leader of one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, statistically, he's the quarterback. He makes all the checks. He makes all the calls. I mean, you guys know the stats better than me, but he's the one that sits back there and makes the decisions for a defense that's played really well this year. And I'm proud of the way he's played. And I think part of getting awards is based on how your team does. And I tell people all the time, you want national awards, win football games. Together, everyone achieves more, team. And when we do that, we got guys in Grozo, we got guys in, we've got several guys out there for different awards. Andrew's up. I mean, it's just, you get those things when you have team success. And JR's, no doubt, a product of that team success, and his hard work has brought that to him.
2 more questions. Speaking of the havoc rate and the secondary, it really seems like the last couple of games, DJ Daniel has kind of shown up everywhere. Have you guys seen that as well? I mean, do you think that he's gotten a lot better since maybe earlier in the season when he was a little bit green?
DJ's played well. DJ does a good job. We felt like DJ was one of our best corners all along. He came to He came and worked with us in the bowl practice, and he was covering Riley and Miko. And we felt good about DJ and confident in DJ all along. And we feel good about our three corners. They compete out there at practice. They compete for playing time, and DJ's done a nice job.
Kurt, do you guys think you've learned to manage the SEC championship game and then the sprint to the early signing period? I know it's a pretty small window in between the two.
I don't think you can ever manage that. People have no idea what goes on the minute that SEC championship game ends. I mean, you can meet for days and not deal with all the, I mean, because we're going to miss a week of recruiting. Everybody else is going to go out. And we literally have 1 week, 5 to 6 days to go see every kid before they sign. That's absolutely crazy. And that's crazy. There's no way. I can't be 25 places in 5 days. There's no way. Then on top of that, you've got awards, you got final exams for your players, you got juniors trying to make decisions. There's no way. So we'll focus on the next step, which is Georgia Tech.
Right.
Then we'll focus on the next step, and then after that, we'll focus on the next step, whatever that may be. But it's chaotic for teams in the SEC because of, and then probably the ACC too, the conference championships, because of the short amount of time you actually have to recruit. It's crazy.
Thank you.